Hello, everyone, and welcome to a bonus episode of the Brothers Take, where you're joined by only one out of the three brothers. That is me, Eric McGuire, and you are all very much welcome to this bonus episode where we're going to talk about. Well, I'm going to talk about a expansion DLC to a beloved game of mine and Chris's from last year, which was Alan Wake 2. They released at the Summer Game Fest. They released the first of two DLCs called Night Springs to it, which is a three-part episode. It's a three episodes of these kind of alternate stories in the Remedy universe. I don't really know what we would call it, but this is like some little kind of fun thing that in Remedy's weird ass universe, it's like it's canon, but also not canon, but it's, weird kind of half canon universe. And within it, they have three kind of different styles to the episode. So, what I'm going to first do, just for first couple of minutes, is a non spoiler review. And then I will do a spoiler review of it because it's been out for a while and it's not a particularly long thing to play and clear, but just in case someone hasn't gotten around to doing it or they're a bit iffy about getting it, I'll give my first non-spoiler review. So as I stated, it's broken up to three episodes. The first episode you play as a character called Rose Marigold, I think is her name. If you've played Alan Wake 2, you would know her as she's the woman who works in the diner. She's a huge Alan Wake fan. She's a bit kind of kooky. She's funny in her kind of kookiness. In the original game, you get to play her uh, in this kind of almost weird, twisted, romantic story, and certainly a twist on it. Instead of being the prince, the classic story of the prince saving the princess, she's now going out to save someone else. So she's kind of being the warrior, and it's this really badass, fun kind of journey. At no point did be personally, at no point did I ever feel scared because that's not the point of it. It's almost like that moment in any horror story, action horror story, when it's like, right, I'm the badass now, right? That's what the whole thing is, and it's quite tongue in cheek. It's quite comedic, um, which I really liked about it. It was kind of a nice, fun first episode to kind of just get you into Night Springs and the kind of weird wackiness that Night Springs will bring you down. That's the kind of first one. Oh, and also I should state, yeah, that they have an introduction from the actor Warland Dorr. He always does an introduction and out like an intro and outro for each episode. Makes you really feel like this is a TV show, kind of like the Twilight Saga, or not Twilight Saga. That's a different thing. But that kind of those weird sort of sciencey programs that would have been on TV back in the days. In episode 2, you play as Jesse Faden from Control, um, who is again. It's all set within the map of Alan Wake 2. So she's in her own location. She's looking for someone who's gone missing. And that's a little bit more kind of horror. It's very dark. You have to use a torch. There's some kind of creepy enemies around and stuff, and that can be a little bit on edge. So I was very much with that one, taking it slow. So again, we had the first episode, which was this tongue-in-cheek, almost action comedy, and this one I was a bit like you're on edge as you're roaming around this area. Um, trying to kind of solve a few little puzzles. They're good puzzles as you're going through it, right? And then we finally have the third episode where you play as Sean Ashmore, not a character who's being played by the actor. No, no, we're playing as the actor Sean Ashmore, who gets transported on some weird ass fucking journey that just actually starts to like help you start to shape more of this weird reality that Remedy has made, and that's a good one because that's a one where it kind of starts off kind of horror like, and then just as it goes on, you get more comfortable and it gets a bit more action packed, and it's just that's a mind bendy one. So we have the first one you're playing as Rose, and it's action packed. We got the second one you're playing as Jesse, and it's more horror. And then we got the third one you play as Sean Ashmore, and it's fucking mental and it's mind blowing, right? So that I for me personally, I really enjoyed them. I really liked them. I got them done in like pretty much I got it done in like a night. I think I did my day of work. I came home, had dinner, and then just got started on it. And I think I pretty much got it done in one night. So they're not particularly long either, which is nice. But it's not really short either. Like if you don't get it finished in one night, that's also seems that would also make sense because you might just run out of time and then you'd have to finish it the next day. So you're not going to be getting it done in like an hour. Certainly not. But I think it's really good. It really kind of adds to the universe, but isn't something you have to play, if that makes sense. Like if you just don't play it, that's okay. You can understand the next Remedy game. Well, you might do, depending on how mind bendy it is, but it's not pivotal. Sometimes games have DLC that's like this is actually super crucial to the overarching world, but Night Springs isn't like that, but it's still fun and it still adds an extra layer to it. Um, so with that being said, that's my non-spoiler review, and I'll now go into my spoiler review. With so I'll just give a moment for people to kind of go, oh, I don't want to hear any spoilers. We're gonna get off now. With that out of the way now, as I almost spoiled with episode one, as I was talking earlier, you play as Rose Marigold, and you're playing as the princess who's going to save someone. I was almost about to say who it was, and I was like, oh, that's a spoiler. But you have to say Alan Wake. He's trapped. He's been kidnapped by his evil twin doppelganger who's jealous of his success, and he has a bunch of haters, and Rose has to save him and kill all the haters, and it's super like tongue as I said, tongue in cheek. It's very like fun and bright pink colors, or like the sky is like this bright pinky color and stuff. But there's kind of like a fucked upness to it. Because I think like she's going around the diner at the first, and everyone's like, wow, Rose, you're so amazing. She's like, I know, I am so amazing. In this weird reality perception that she has of herself. And then she finds out that Alan Wake is in trouble. So she's like, oh, well, I better go get my things. And she goes to the back of the diner. She opens up, and it's like fucking John Wick's closet. It's just got guns everywhere. You get a rifle and a shotgun, and then you have to go on this journey. And it's really quite a funny journey, but kind of ends in a very, it's like, oh, isn't that romantic and nice? But it's also like, it's really kind of scary on almost like a realistic because like kind of those fans exist. Those almost like psychotically obsessed. Um, but in saying that, like so that's kind of the horror element of it, I suppose, because Night Springs is supposed to be like this kind of horror show within the Remedy universe. So the kind of horror of it, I suppose, is that she's not just a fan that we use loosely now the term. And it's explained at the start of the episode that Warland Dor explains fan comes from the term fanatic, which is to be obsessed. And so that's what she is more so. So we use the term fan loosely nowadays for someone who just really likes something and, is really into it. Um, while she is a fanatic on Alan Wake. But it's a very fun, good episode. I do recommend that one. Episode two, now you play as Jesse Faden, who has to explore Coffee World as she's looking for her brother, and she finds a sheriff played by Sean Ashmore, but isn't Sean Ashmore, and he is looking for a bunch of people who've gone missing. But there's a lot of shade, kind of weird shade like people going around who apparently have drank the coffee that turns them into these weird things, and it's like this weird government experiment or something that's like in the coffee that makes people turn into things. And Jesse's weird alien friend from Control, if you played Control, is in it. And she kind and helps her to overcome any of the weird government sort of um mind bendy stuff that's taken control over the people. And again, it's quite can be quite kind of creepy and eerie because it's very dark and but it's very kind of cool. This one also a little bit feels like okay, it's another just sort of fun mode. Um, but in saying that, I think it's a really good mode, and it's nice to see Jesse Faden, the character, back. Nice to have the voice actor back. It's nice to to have this universe be built upon more, and with the fact that this world is dealing the world of Remedy deals with all these weird sort of things which could possibly even deal with, I mean, like the dark place is like a dark reflection of Earth, so there is parallel realities, I suppose, but in lots of different ways, and this could be that. um but then when you kind of go to find your brother, it turns out it's Alan Wake, and he's floating there, and he's like the cause of all this weird, like psychedelic fucking brainwashing shit. And it's not government at all. Or at least I think that's what the episode is. It kind of ends on a bit of a horror cliffhanger, I suppose. Kind of leaves you with it to think about what does it all mean. Um, which again is a good different style to what the first episode was. And then we get the third episode, which is probably my favorite of them. You play as Sean Ashmore, the actor, who is working on a project with the director Sam Lake in a fictional studio. And then he's told, take a break, go learn your lines. That's grand. After Sam Lake gives him some weird mumbo jumbo jargon that turns out to be important for the episode. And Sean then goes back to his apartment or back to his room where he's resting. He sees some weird psychedelic lights. He hears screaming and crashing, and then he goes up and then he sees Sean Ashmore. Sean Ashmore sees Sean Ashmore dead on the ground, and he obviously reacts to it. And then there's a piece of paper on the ground. I picked it up. It described everything that just happened, as you do in like Alan Wake 2 and Alan Wake 1, when you find manuscript pages and everything that just explains to you what's going to happen. Then Jesse Faden shows up and thinks you're him, which apparently is called Branch, Agent Branch, and you're not. And she realizes, shit, Branch is dead. And then you get taken to a parallel universe, and you just start going on this fucking psychedelic, trippy journey where the first two are kind of a little bit more horror and set within like the lands of Alan Wake 2. Like I think they're mainly within the forest regions, and Warland Door is going around hunting down and killing other versions of Sean Ashmore across what seems to now be a multiverse until he eventually is able to cross through it using various gizmos, cross from one universe to the next universe, and then eventually ends up in a comic universe with Jesse Faden's character, who doesn't work for the FBC like she doesn't Control. She now works for a different thing called OREC. Um, and they start explaining how Warland, like the origins of Warlandor, which was just fucking mind blown, and the possible like alternate realities of people across the different multiverses that exist. And then you go on the path of right. Well, Sean Ashmore says, right, well, I'm gonna kill Warlandor to stop him from killing versions of me. And then you end up like a side-scrolling PS1 game, and then you end up, and it's just this fucking brilliant thing that ends on such a. If you've played the final draft of Alan Wake 2, it actually directly connects as well to episode 3 of Night Springs. That I feel like episode 3 is more canon than the previous two. I think it just really starts to build upon this multiversal weird fucking universe that Remedy has built or is building, and it starts to develop Warland Door into being so much more than this weird enigmatic talk show host that he was in Alan Wake 2, which it's very exciting then to see where they're going to go, because this is also not the first time Sean Ashmore has worked with Remedy. He worked with them in Quantum Break. So now they're also building up a cast of characters and a cast of actors they can continuously use for these various games and have all these various um alternate realities. And I think with just Night Springs, a really good DLC, and I think it's a really fun one. And then they're also going to have another one, which will be exciting to then see and play. And then also, whatever they're building, I'm looking forward to seeing even what their next game is going to do. So that's my review of Night Springs. Is actually that's it's pumped me. It's pumped me more for what they're going to do in the future. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it didn't seem like I was talking nonsense. If you ever have any suggestions of what else you want us to talk about, be it a bonus episode or a main episode, just touch base, send us message on Twitter or X, Facebook, Instagram at the Brothers Take, or pop it in a comment or something on YouTube. Just let us know, even if you have any recommendations for games, or movies or TV shows or music, just drop them in. We'll check them out when we get the time. We'll talk about it. And it'd be great. It'd be great to get those suggestions in, because sometimes we get a little bit like, what the hell are we going to talk about? So yeah, no, absolutely throw them in. It'd be great to hear from you. And thank you for listening. And if you listened to the whole thing, which you're only going to get this if you did, but thank you for listening to the whole thing and for sticking around. And I will see yous on the next episode. Bye bye.